Right now, Earth feels pretty permanent. Oceans where oceans are supposed to be, continents sitting where you learned them in school, the sun rising every morning like it's contractually obligated to. None of that is permanent. Not even close. Given enough time, and we're talking a genuinely absurd amount of time, the continents will rearrange themselves into a shape nobody's ever seen. The air will stop being breathable. The oceans will boil away. And eventually, the sun itself is going to make sure Earth doesn't survive to see the end of the story. So let's fast forward. Way, way forward. Let's start small, relatively speaking. Earth's climate naturally cycles between ice ages and warmer periods, driven by tiny wobbles in the planet's orbit and tilt. We're currently in a warm stretch. Human-driven climate change is going to dominate the next few centuries, no question. But look far enough past that, and the older, slower rhythm of the planet reasserts itself. Somewhere in the next 50,000 to 100,000 years, bearing some wild card we can't predict, another ice age is due. Glaciers creep back down over North America and Northern Europe. Sea levels drop as water gets locked up in ice. Coastlines redraw themselves. And this isn't a one-time event. Either it's a cycle. Earth's been swinging between ice ages and warm periods for millions of years already, and it'll almost certainly keep doing it, layered right on top of whatever we do to the climate ourselves. Zoom out further, and the ground itself stops staying put. The continents are riding on tectonic plates that drift a few centimeters a year, roughly the speed your fingernails grow. Doesn't sound like much. Give it 50 million years, though, and it adds up to entire oceans opening and closing. Africa is on a slow-motion collision course with Europe. The Mediterranean is actually shrinking, and somewhere around 50 million years from now, it's projected to close entirely, throwing up a new mountain range where the sea used to be. Meanwhile, the Atlantic just keeps getting wider. Keep running the clock, and somewhere between 200 and 300 million years from now, most of Earth's land masses are expected to smash back together into one giant supercontinent. Scientists have a few competing models for exactly how it forms. One popular version is nicknamed Pangea Ultima. Different continents, brand new coastline, but the same old story. Everything eventually crashes back into everything else. Here's the part that surprises most people. Plants are actually on a clock, and it's ticking louder than you'd think. The sun is very slowly getting brighter as it ages, more on that in a minute, and that extra heat speeds up a chemical process that pulls carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and locks it into rock. Over hundreds of millions of years, CO2 levels are expected to drop so low that most plants simply can't photosynthesize anymore. Somewhere around 500 million to a billion years from now, scientists estimate the vast majority of plant life dies off from CO2 starvation, not heat. And once the plants go, the animals that depend on oxygen, which is to say, basically all animal life, doesn't have much runway left either. The sun isn't just sitting there burning at a fixed brightness, it's a star slowly getting more luminous over its entire lifetime, and that brightness eventually becomes a problem all on its own. Around a billion years from now, the sun is expected to be significantly brighter than it is today. That extra energy hitting Earth kicks off a runaway greenhouse effect. The oceans start evaporating faster than they can be replenished. And once enough water vapor builds up in the atmosphere, it just accelerates the whole process. Eventually, and we're talking a process that plays out over a very long stretch, not overnight, Earth's oceans are expected to boil away entirely. No plants, no animals, no liquid water. Just a hot, dry, rocky planet. Now for the main event. In roughly 5 billion years, the sun runs out of hydrogen fuel in its core. When that happens, it doesn't just quietly switch off. It swells up into what's called a red giant, ballooning out to possibly 100 times its current size. Mercury and Venus almost certainly get swallowed whole. Earth's fate is honestly a genuinely open scientific debate. Some models have the sun's outer layers stretching just far enough to engulf Earth too, while other models suggest the sun will have lost enough mass by then that its gravity loosens its grip, letting Earth drift outward to a slightly wider orbit and dodge the flames, just barely. Either way, engulfed outright, or just barely surviving it doesn't really matter for anything living here. Long before the red giant phase even begins, the surface has already been a scorched, lifeless rock for billions of years. After its red giant phase, the sun sheds its outer layers into space and collapses down into what's called a white dwarf, a small, incredibly dense ember, roughly Earth-sized, slowly cooling for the rest of time. Whatever's left of Earth, if anything survives at all, just keeps orbiting that dim ember in permanent, frozen darkness. No sunrise, no atmosphere, no water. Just a cold rock, or maybe not even that, quietly circling the corpse of the star that once made every single thing on this planet possible. All of this is still billions of years away, further into the future than Earth's entire past put together. Nothing alive today, and nothing that will ever be alive in any recognizable sense, is going to witness any of it. But it's still a strange thing to sit with. This planet, this exact moment, all of it is temporary. Just a very, very long chapter in a story that eventually ends with a cold ember and an empty sky. If you liked this look at Earth's far future, hit like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments which future you'd rather witness, the boiling oceans or the red giant finale.